Hey, Javon, Nick Wagner from ESPN here. Can you just kind of take us through what your process was like going into Monday morning and, when you kind of first heard from people at the Niners organization, any kind of recruitment tactics, anything like that?
It was pretty easy. I mean, Monday, I was doing my normal routine. I went to work out, get my mind off of it. But when I got that phone call for the 49ers and just, hearing them talk about how much they wanted me, it really was a quick decision.
Javon, welcome to the 49ers. What is it about the 49ers that made it so attractive a landing spot for you?
I mean, I knew they've been playing they've been in a lot of big games. And for me, I just love playing in primetime games or big games. That's something that it's just a great feeling when being in the NFL to be able to play in some of them big moments. And when you have, going to free agency and you got a great team that wants you, I feel like it's not really a hard decision to make. Because I mean, that's all you like in football is winning and getting paid.
Hey, welcome. And it is Javon, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, get that right. You are coming from a historically kind of dominant defensive line and pass rush. How do you see the Niners kind of, I don't know if comparing to what you just came from, but I don't know, does it feel like, with the addition of you along with what's already there, it could be similar to what you had in Philadelphia last year?
Yeah, I just do leaving Philly. I was fortunate enough to play with a bunch of dogs and just, seeing the 49ers last year when we played them in the championship game, we seen how many dogs they had over there. So it really was shocking to me that they called me and asked me to come over here because, a team like that don't really pay somebody like me to come over here. So I was just, I was just happy to be a part, be a part of all these dogs over here. Like I said, they got a lot of talent too. And it's, just an easier transition.
When you say call somebody like you just because it looked like they had enough people already on their defensive line?
Yeah, they had a lot of talent. Being, coming out and wanting to be paid, you just don't see a lot of winning teams like this organization come out to me like that.
Hey, Javon. I'm just wondering how you think the 49ers compare stylistically, philosophically with Philadelphia in terms of the pass rush. I mean, is the learning curve going to be big? What are the differences between how they played the defensive line there and here?
I haven't really learned too much about their scheme, but just from hearing from all the players and they do a lot of similar things that we did, and I think their big thing is just being disruptive in the run game and the pass game, and I think they know the trenches is where you start at. So I just try to put my head down and get to work and try to learn a new scheme.
Hi, Javon. You talk about being able to play with that talent in Philadelphia. How excited are you to play next to Nick Bosa? And have you talked to Chris Kasarik, new defensive line coach, yet?
Oh yeah, I talked to him. I talked to him today. I met him today. But Nick, the defensive player of the year, so it frees up everybody else, and it will free me up a lot. So of course it's just ready to be around the guys and just learn how they play the game and just try to pick their brains a little bit. That can help me be a better player too.
Javon, have you had an opportunity to talk with Nick Bosa or Eric Armstead or anybody else on the line?
Yeah, they introduced themselves and welcomed me in. I think the first day I signed, they both hit me up and kind of congratulated me and told me they couldn't wait to be a part of this.
I know you're kind of like an old man now in the NFL, but you're new to us. Can you just tell a little bit about your background and how you got to South Carolina State, and did you ever envision the career you've had?
I basically, coming out of high school, South Carolina State was my only offer, and wasn't no 5-star or nothing like that. I was a 0-star, and just kind of from that day, I just kind of wore that chip on my shoulder just to put my head down and work. And my only goal was, when I was at South Carolina State, was just to get drafted in the NFL. Of course, I envisioned that I could play to this level, but it still feels so surreal to me to just seeing how far my career done came, and really just praying that just ready to get to work to see how far I can take it to the next level. So like I said, I just ready to put my head down and see how much better I can be.
You mentioned that you were kind of surprised when you heard from the 49ers. Did somebody call you directly, or was that through your agent? And if so, who called you, and what did they have to say?
No, it was really through my agent. My agent just telling me that they really interested in me. But like I said, I couldn't believe it myself. I really couldn't. Like I said, when you sometimes when you're trying to go get the money, you have to go to a team that's in a rebuild mode. But you got a chance to go to a team that was just in the NFC Championship. It's like that's kind of an easy choice for me. So I was real happy about it. It really made me happy, because I was real nervous about free agency on where I was gonna have to go. But I feel like this was the perfect situation for me.
Your speed and your quickness jump out. Your 4.93 back in 2016. How do you account for that? I mean, what's your background? Did you run track as a kid, or play basketball, or play running back, or anything like that growing up?
Yeah, I was the man in basketball. That was my first love. And I also played running back in my younger ages. And I always was trying to race all the small kids, all the little people, and most of the time I could beat them. So I think I just always felt like I was one of the small guys when I was out there on the field. But I don't know, I just been blessed too at the same time, just to be able to do what I do.
And Javon, there are a lot of guys who have been on other teams that come to the Niners and work with the defensive line and enjoy the fact that there's less thinking and just going to get the quarterback. Is that something that you've kind of seen from the 49ers, and maybe something that you look forward to?
Yeah, I heard about it. Even my old D-line coach, we watched the 49ers. We watched the 49ers D-line a lot because that's the way you want to play, just violent and upfield. So, it's like the D-line dream, just to be able to just go relentless and disrupt everything. So that was a big thing with me coming to, just knowing that I can be part of that, just being more disruptive than I've been. And I heard the defensive line coach is a great coach, so just being able to take my game to another level.
You mentioned being nervous about potentially where you might land in this process. Did you have teams that maybe came in over the top that even had potentially bigger offers, but it was a matter of, wanting to be in a situation where you could win and secure that money?
Yeah, it was a few teams. Really, it was a few teams, but like I said, I feel like this was the best opportunity. And there are many teams that's going to the NFC Championship game, and just praying that I can get a chance to get back to that big dance. I feel like this was the best opportunity for me to have a chance to get back there.
We'll go last one, Branch.
You are known for your ability, just your strength, and be able to bull rush people. Maybe kind of a stupid question, but has that always been there? Is that something you've developed throughout your career?
I think the Lord blessed me with these legs, so I always was being able to anchor and get under people with my leverage. So yeah, that's been something that's been in my game a lot. But I feel like I can do. I got a little bit of tricks here and there too. But yeah, the bull rush is definitely one of my number ones.
Hey Sam, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about how you connected with the 49ers, and what Monday was like?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, as you guys can probably imagine, Monday's pretty crazy. Especially as a free agent, first time around. Again, having great people in my corner to be able to narrow the scope a little bit in terms of, who I was looking for. So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, it was a fairly easy decision for me to be able to come here and just be able to go to work. And that's what I'm most excited for, is to be able to work with Kyle and, Brian Greasy and all the coaches on this staff. And again, all the players, the great personnel that is around this locker room, and from top to bottom, just excited to get started in this organization and get to work.
Sam, kind of following up on what you just touched on there. Some people from the outside would look at this and say you're signing here to be the number 3 quarterback. It's a little bit of a unique situation with the injuries. How much did it kind of play into your mind of, I would like to get a reset here where I can be in a good situation to kind of build myself back up here?
Yeah, I think to be able to find myself in a really a good organization, kind of like what I just said. Yeah, just from top to bottom, right? I mean, being in a really good organization was a priority for me. Being with really good coaches and really good personnel as well. So, those were kind of the top things for me. And yeah, it's I'm very, very happy to be here, but understand that gotta continue to work and work hard.
Hi, Sam. David Lombardi here. You mentioned Brian Greasy in your other answer. He obviously had success with multiple different quarterbacks last year. Is that something that, when you're doing your research for where you want to go, is that something that you take a closer look at? And did you have a chance to ask him some questions before you signed on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more answers, the more information that you can get throughout this free agency process, the better. And so, just to be able to understand kind of his thoughts on quarterback play, and just the way that you saw, Trey, Jimmy, and then at the end of the year, Brock play. They played, with a lot of confidence, and they played fast. And, that's something that I was very interested in, for sure. And being able to talk with Brian about that was very eye-opening.
Speaking of Brock and Trey Lance, have you had an opportunity to talk with them, and just how familiar are you with them and their games?
Yeah, I have not been able to talk with them since I signed. Very familiar with their games. I feel like, all 3 of us are pretty similar. We have the ability to get out and make plays when we need to, that way. And we can also throw from the pocket. So I see a lot of similarities in all 3 of our games, and, just excited to work with them and meet them as soon as possible.
Hi, Sam. How comfortable are you with what Kyle Shanahan asks of his quarterbacks? Are you familiar with his offensive system? Was that something that was attractive to you looking at free agency?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to be able to, understand, kind of have an understanding of what it takes to play quarterback in this system. I understand it's very, there's a lot of different checks, a lot of different shifts, motions, formations, all those things. And, I'm very excited about that opportunity to do that. And, just help this team however I can.
Hey, Sam, I'm assuming that you know Christian McCaffrey and Steve Wilkes pretty well. Wondering whether you consulted with them, talked with them during that decision-making process.
Yeah, didn't talk to Steve very much. Had conversations with Christian, not too much free agency talk, more just, conversations about life. But yeah, I think, for me, I think kind of what I said in the beginning, I was, no matter who I talked to, taking emotions out of it. I was really just focused on those things that I mentioned before. looking into free agency and looking at, how I can just continue to grow as a player. And those things that I had mentioned earlier really stood out.
Yeah, Sam, how much the last 6 or 7 games of the season when you won 4 times and played pretty well, how important was that for you in building up momentum for what was going to come next?
Yeah, I think for me, it was just playing within myself. I think that was the biggest thing those last 6 games. Obviously, a couple games didn't go our way, but it was just playing patient. I think that was the biggest difference for me is, not forcing things when they weren't there. Just giving our team, because when you turn the ball over and when you force the ball in there, it's, you can't play late in the game or have a chance late in the game if you're turning the ball over. So I think that was the biggest thing with me. Those last few games of the season was just staying within myself, staying patient. And I feel like, that was some momentum to be able to build on for, this next year coming up. But at the same time, there's a lot of work ahead of me. And I understand that I got to get going here pretty fast and get going on the playbook and continue to work.
Hey, Sam, you mentioned that you talked to Christian a little bit before you signed with the Niners. Are you looking forward to reuniting with him and Steve Wilks, all now as 49ers?
Absolutely. Yeah. Christian's a great dude. We became good friends in Charlotte, or in Carolina, I should say. And obviously created a really good bond with Coach Wilks as well, throughout the last half of the season, the last season in Carolina. So, just excited to be able to work with Christian again, and obviously with Coach Wilks. So yeah, I don't know if I can say I'm excited enough during this press conference, but yeah, excited to get to work.
Hey, Sam, what is your understanding of what you're stepping into as far as your potential role and, having a real potential or ability to compete, at the very least for the backup role?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really coming in here and doing everything that I can to understand the offense. I know I have my work cut out for me when it comes to that. So I think that's just my focus right now is doing whatever I can to help this team win games when it comes time to do that. Whether that's me being the backup or starting. And that's my mindset.
On that kind of same note, Sam, have you had a conversation yet with Kyle Shanahan, and what kind of did he lay out as a plan for you along those lines?
Yeah, I think kind of like you had mentioned, there are some unknowns, right? With Brock's injury and then Trey coming back. So I think those are things, that, with a good room, with a good quarterback room, you can, as long as we stick together and we understand that, we just got to work hard and continue to put the best foot forward for each other, that everything's going to work out. And I think at the end of the day, as long as we're winning games, that's the only thing that matters to me. As I continue to get to know Trey and Brock, and talking to people around the building about those guys, it seems to me that all they care about is winning as well. And, obviously as a competitor, you want to play, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for the team. And, and you leave those decisions up to Kyle, and we know that he's going to put the best guy out there and, and do the right thing that, we just need to go out there and win.
We haven't had a chance to meet Steve Wilks yet. You still there, Sam?
Yep. You got me?
Okay. Yep. We haven't had a chance to meet Steve Wilks yet. Heard only good things about him, especially what you guys were able to do in the second half of the season there. But how would you describe him, and how would you, what would you say the 49ers defense is getting in Steve Wilks?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the smartest defensive coaches I've been around so far, since I've been in the NFL, and just his ability to coach. The way that he coaches, the way that he gets the back end right, and ties kind of everything in together, right? I think that's something that is rare to find in a defensive coordinator, and Coach Wilks has that. It's very, just the way that he talks. I mean, you guys will meet him soon enough, but just the way that he talks about football and the way that he operates, he's going to shoot you straight as a player, and as a player that likes to get better. And I'm sure a lot of the guys in the locker room are the same way, guys that want to continue to get better throughout their career. Everyone can appreciate someone who's going to be brutally honest with you. But in the same breath, he's going to do everything that he can to get to know you. And, when you're in the hallways and you see him, he's a great dude, and he's going to ask about your family, and he's a great family man himself. But yeah, he's a really good coach. From what, defensive guys said in Carolina, and from what I understood as well. And just excited to be with him again.
Hey, Sam, you mentioned, wanting to be the backup or starting or competing for that. It sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been told if you prove to be, you're the best quarterback on the roster, then you'll be the best quarterback. Have the best role, and you'll be starting. Is that accurate?
No, I think for me, it's just coming in and doing everything that I can to learn the playbook, and, cause it is early, just got to do my best to learn the playbook, digest everything, and, have conversations with, Brian, Coach Greasy about, formations, motions. I mean, there's so many different things that go into it. The last thing that I'm worried about right now is, play time and whatnot.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Hi, Clelin. When you were making this decision, you saw what Chris Kasarik has been able to do with some other defensive linemen and the way he's been able to benefit their career. How much of a factor was that?
I think anytime, this is my first time going through free agency. I think for me, the biggest deal was I had to fall in love with, regardless when you look at it from a D-line standpoint. I think, the whole money aspect of, players that have came in and, have projected themselves after this. I think for me, I really just fell in love with the way that they play defense here. And Coach Chris is obviously a staple in that. And I truly believe that just by the way that he really believes in, it being a rushman-led defense, so the front is, when the front comes alive, everything else kind of falls into the place. So I think for me, that was the biggest thing, definitely, knowing his background, and obviously me being coached by guys like Rod Marinelli around the league. I've seen it before. So it wasn't something that, I kind of already believed in the things that they were doing here to make me, so it was just kind of checking that box for sure.
Hey, Clelin, kind of following up on that. Have you paid attention to some of the guys? Arden Key was a former Raider, and some of those guys who've come through these doors and had success and then gone on to nice contracts. Have you talked to guys like that at all?
I mean, I have a lot of good friends around the league. I tell people this all the time. The NFL it's not a family, it's a brotherhood. And even guys like Arden, guys like Eric, guys like even Javon, even Nicky, Nick, I say Nicky, Nick, we've all trained together and been in the vicinity, around each other, whether I played against Javon in college, or I've trained with Nick before, trained with Eric, trained with Arden, trained with Solomon Thomas, trained with Maurice Hurst. So I just have a good base of players around that have, kind of, especially that ones that have been here to kind of, give me just really good feedback and, kind of solidify things or any questions that I may have had going into the process. So I definitely, take heed and look at those guys, history and see, where it projects, I'm sure.
You mentioned the 49ers style of defensive line play. How does that compare to what you've done in the past? Have you ever played in a system that just kind of allows you to pin your ears back the way that the 49ers do?
I've experienced it, to an extent with the Raiders before. With Rod Marinelli, he was someone who, I give a lot of credit to just in regards to, the type of things that he taught us. But obviously, I feel like the 49ers, especially, this team, they've kind of been like the forefront of it for the league, obviously having the number one defense last year. And I just feel like, I've seen in my career times where I've seen the way they play, and I've seen it in examples around the league. But I think this is like the true, from what Coach Chris has built. This is kind of where you want to be if you really want to exemplify that, to the full extent. So I think it's a very, very good system. It's a very, very good plan in the way that we play. And I think the 49ers for sure have been a team that has kind of led the charge on that.
Hi, Clelin. Javon was just in here and said that, the 49ers being a contender, going after him and the way they run the defenses, what was attracted to him, even though there were other offers on the table? Was it similar for you?
I don't want to get into comparing, my situation to someone else, but mine definitely was someone, I had teams interested in. When it came down to it, obviously it came down to probably around about 3 or 4 teams that I had pretty serious, interest in. But the 49ers just stood out just because, obviously I've been watching them for a very long time. I started out in Oakland my rookie year, so I've already known what the rivalry was, and basically having good friends and having good relationships from guys around the league that have told me good things about and kind of just reassured everything that I had to hear about Coach Chris or Coach Shanahan or even John Lynch, upstairs. So I think that relationship is what I've really honed in on for sure. Just really trusting, my guys, like I said, it's a brotherhood. So understanding that those relationships are things that have kind of carried me through a little bit of guidance, through this process for sure.
Hey there. When you mentioned that, or when the Raiders moved from Oakland to Vegas, you mentioned that you were really going to miss the Bay Area. Are you looking forward to being back?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Last time I was in the Bay, I was just telling somebody this. Last time I was in the Bay and I was playing football, they was playing MC Hammer and NWA in the stadium. Now I get to hear some E40, thumping off in the back. So I'm excited. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
Clinton, I'm sure you've taken criticism and been banged around as a number 4 pick and haven't done this, haven't done that. Is any of the criticism fair? And also, how have you, I don't know, just dealing with that, how has it shaped you, or how have you grown since you've been in the NFL?
Answering your first question, I mean, is it fair? I think criticism isn't, regardless of whether it's fair or not, it just is what it is. It comes with the territory. You know what I mean? People always have whatever things they may have as far as an opinion to say. I think for me, man, I think it's really been a blessing being, whatever my journey has been in the league, because what many people don't know is, all these guys in the league, we're still young men developing at the same time while we're coming into this very high status, job. So I think going through the different, ups and downs, whether good days, bad days throughout my career, I've had time to really grow and mature into a man, just because you're making grown man decisions, grown man mistakes. And, sometimes it's like, especially me, I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast. So, you can't call on mom or call on your brothers all the time for everything. So I think it's been a really, really good transition for me. And I think that for my career moving forward, is really going to show that I really appreciate those years for sure.
Whether it's been Arden Key or Charles Menahue, the 49ers have had success in taking guys who are quote unquote defensive ends and lining them up inside on passing downs. And I'm just wondering how much you've done of that in the past, and whether that's been discussed as a possible role for you with the 49ers.
I think playing for this team, I think anything, in regards to where you could be lining up at, in regards to being a pass rusher. You know, you just take the ceilings off. So it's nothing that I feel like, you know, throughout my past that I haven't been, you know, asked to do. And just in regards to, I've dropped in the coverage, I've rushed inside, I've played five technique, I've lined up sometimes at corner sometimes. But I think being here, you know, I'm really just buying in. I have an open mind to whatever Coach Chris, you know, has for me, because regardless of the fact, I'm still a very young player, and I still have a lot of, you know, time to develop it. And, you know, I really don't think I've tapped into my potential. So I'm just coming in with an open mind, and I'm really excited, ready to hit the ground running.
Well, you just kind of alluded to it, the potential that you still have an upside. How much kind of going into this process, and you've talked about it a little bit along the way here, but were you looking for a place where you could just kind of reset and give yourself an opportunity to reach that potential?
And it's, you know, I hate that word potential, because I hate talking about it, but definitely, regardless of the fact, I think you just want, you know, progression. And I feel like regardless of the fact whether I were to, it wasn't about whether I feel like I could progress here and not anywhere else. It was really more so which way did I feel like it was going to make me progress in the way that I feel like would have been the best benefit for the team I'm playing for. And I feel like my skill set specifically, it just fits, you know, the identity and the culture of this team. You know, I've always been someone where, regardless of the fact, I enjoy the fact that people, you know, the more responsibility that the front four has, you know, obviously it's the more responsibility that we have to get things wrong and get things right. So I've always been someone that never shied away from an opportunity to be in that role, if that makes sense, right? So I enjoy it. You know, with if you're gonna wear the crown, as far as the D line, like you gotta take everything that come with it. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, Clelin, you came out for the draft the same year as Nick Bosa, and I'm wondering if your paths crossed very much during that process, and do you know him at all, or have you guys, has he shot you a text for coming to the 49ers, or?
Oh yeah, no, when it's kind of crazy to get a little backdrop story, but yeah, me and Nick got drafted same class, and even coming out of college, like we was like neck and neck for, like, you know, trying to see who was gonna be, like, I guess you could see the guy, you know, in regards to college football DNs. But actually, when COVID at first hit, we was all training together down in Florida. So we was down there for a long period of time. Me, and it's crazy. Me, Nick, even Joey, Eric, DeForest Buckner, all of us, we have a pretty good, you know, they kind of had joined up, but we have a pretty good nucleus of, like I said, it's a brotherhood. So a lot of D linemen around the league work out together. And during that COVID time was the time we really got to, you know, get it in, really get some good work in, pass rush. We worked out together, you know, just through that whole process, just in the gym. So I think that was a time period where we really got familiar, and I really got to, you know, have a newfound respect for Nick, because, you know, he obviously is a very, very hard worker, and he takes our craft very, very seriously. So that was like my first real glimpse. And then, you know, obviously I'm excited now because I get a chance to play with a, you know, a very, very highly talented guy in the league, one of the best players that we have. So I'm excited.
I believe you said that you lined up at cornerback in the past. What was the circumstance of Clelin Ferrell playing cornerback, and how did you do at cornerback?
Nah, it wasn't. It wasn't nothing like it wasn't. I'm joking on the cornerback thing, but it was kind of like where you spy guys. You know what I'm saying? If you got an offensive player that's someone who, you know, you want to get hands on. Well, you know, it's a couple of times where they may be lined up extra wide, so I got to step out there and I'm looking like I'm out there at corner or something like that. But never nothing where I'm actually locked in on it. But it was just like a couple of times where it can look like I'm playing it for sure.
Hey, what is your understanding of what your potential role could be with the 49ers?
As I understand it, I mean, I'm here just to kind of be versatile, and help in any way I can, really. I think we kind of got to take the time to see where I fit in and what that kind of looks like, going forward through OTAs, through training camp and stuff like that. But my goal is really just come in and help the team anyway.
Hi, Isaiah. Welcome.
Hey.
How familiar are you with the 49ers defensive scheme and what they do, and what do you feel your strengths are?
Yeah. I mean, I'm familiar in the sense of, obviously the 49ers have been one of the best defenses in the NFL for quite some time now. So just being able to watch that kind of from afar and study that in that aspect. But I kind of understand the scheme in that way. I feel like my strengths are just really just being able to get around the ball, be a strong tackler, be able to make plays on the ball in that way. I feel like it's something that I've excelled at over the past couple of years for sure, and still getting better at in that way. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to help bring to the team.
Your new defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks, has a background with defensive backs. Just wondering whether that influenced your decision at all, whether you've spoken with Steve at this point, and what you think about him being the defensive coordinator here.
Yeah, no, I talked to Coach Wilkes briefly. Obviously, like you said, he comes from a defensive background for sure. That's kind of where his expertise lies. Probably that was what he would say himself. So I'm definitely excited to get to work with him, and just kind of help my game in any way I can, and wherever he sees fit, for me to kind of just get better at, to help the defense, help the team. I'm looking forward to do. So I'm just really excited to just get to work with this team and these players.
Is it like all corners? You're not the hugest guy in the field, but you're known as a very strong tackler, feisty. How do you explain your contact courage?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it just really comes down to just wanting to do it. I think really, it's not so much about being the biggest guy on the field all the time. I think that certainly helps some guys for sure. But just being able to want to do it, and just going for it full speed. A lot of good things can happen for you. So that's something that I've kind of just learned over the years. Just watching guys before me, watching guys around the league. So I just feel like it's something that I kind of learned and got a lot better at for sure.
Isaiah, with rushing coverage being so well connected, you've got a great pass rush in front of you with Bosa, Armstead, and now a couple new guys free agency. How exciting does that make it to be with the 49ers? Does that make it more attractive when it came to free agency?
It's definitely exciting. That's definitely something that the 49ers are very known for around the NFL. Definitely something that they've been really, really good at for the last few years. So it's definitely intriguing to me for sure. I mean, I feel like any defensive position, especially in the back seven, I mean, you really want a strong defensive line. That's exciting for you. Quarterback has to get the ball out quicker, things like that. Makes it harder for them. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to work with those guys. I mean, like you said, those are, I mean, all pro level type guys, talent up there, especially even guys that they signed today or are signing or whatever. But yeah, so it's exciting. Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned your versatility, and obviously you played outside and then in the slot with the Falcons. Did you find, I know in reading, people said you found your niche in the slot, that was kind of your happy place. Is that accurate? I mean, was that kind of just like, okay, this is the place for me?
Yeah, I would say so. I definitely felt much more comfortable in there. I felt like I was able to kind of play to my strengths a little more. Just being around the ball, kind of being in the run fit, things like that. I felt real comfortable doing, and I like doing a lot. I felt like it was a lot more fun for sure. So that's something that I definitely kind of grown towards for sure.
For years, the 49ers had sort of a smaller nickel cornerback in K'Wan Williams. I think he was maybe 175 pounds, very quick, agile. What are the advantages and disadvantages of being bigger? I think you're what, 6'1", 205 or something like that. I mean, how do you feel that size gives you an advantage in the box there?
I mean, I just feel like in the box, I mean, you can run into bigger players. You can get a lot more offensive linemen on you, responsible for blocking you, and things like that. You're closer to the ball, so that's just gonna come what comes with it. But like you said, I mean, obviously K'Wan Williams here for a long time, but he was one of the most sure tacklers in the league during that time for sure, and was never afraid to go in there and hit something. So I don't know if it's necessarily makes that big of a difference being bigger or being 20 pounds lighter or anything like that. It's really just kind of like how I said earlier. It's just kind of knowing where you fit and then just having that want to go in there and do it. I think it's the biggest thing, more so than being a certain weight or a certain size. Yeah.
You're ACL and the recovery and coming back. Can you talk a little bit about that process? And when last year did you feel like, okay, I'm kind of back to myself?
Yeah. So yeah, coming back from that, I mean, it's just a really long process. That's kind of just what sucks about it the most. I felt like for me, it was just kind of how long it took to kind of go through that off season rehabbing, go to training camp, still rehabbing, start of the season, still rehabbing, and then finally getting back on the field to be able to play some football was a lot of fun. And I felt like kind of every week I got a little bit better and a little more confident in it as the time went on. And so, I mean, I would say probably not until like December did I really feel okay. Now I feel real good. So it wasn't. So that was really probably almost towards the end of the season. Definitely the last half of the season.